Hello and welcome to Guns and Gear. What do you say, Sarge? You're making a little king. Oh, you slime me. And I thought I would turn the camera on and try to make a video that I've been trying to make for 3 or 4 days. Seems like everything in the world has come up, either phone calls or doing things with my wife, or good Lord, look at you. You got me good, didn't you? Or getting slimed by the dog. But anyway, I wanted to make a video talking about the use of a light with a firearm for home defense. I was recently watching a video from Brothers Keepers 111, and once again, an outstanding video and an outstanding subject matter. In my opinion, this probably does not get the consideration that it should from me or from other folks who has decided to add a firearm to their home defense plan. And I think that if you're going to talk about that, you have to provide a little bit of a background. And I'm going to begin that by talking about lighting in general. Let's see, I don't believe anyone would disagree with me when I suggest that good exterior lighting outside of your home is an important layer to security, to your home security or self-defense plan, okay? But once we come inside the home, once we begin to talk about interior lighting, then opinions really begin to vary, and sometimes vary drastically. For example, I know some people that believe that you should have lights on inside your home, maybe strategically placed, and that gives the homeowner an advantage. I know others that even add on to that and say that you should have motion sensor lighting, or maybe remotely controlled lighting, maybe in your bedroom or another room that you've designated as your safe room, and that gives the homeowner an advantage. I know some people that believe that you shouldn't have any lights on at all. That you know the layout of your home, and that'll allow you to be able to maneuver undetected, and that gives the homeowner an advantage. Still others along that same line, I've heard them suggest that you can strategically place the furnishings within your home to make the layout as such that it's very difficult for someone who is unaware of the layout of the home to maneuver around without difficulty. And that, of course, gives the homeowner an advantage. I must admit, when you talk about interior lighting, that I really haven't thought about it too much in the realm of home defense. I have always pretty much had little night lights, things of that nature, maybe in a hallway or in the room. But that's basically because sometimes I get up in the middle of the night, decide to go to the kitchen, get myself something to drink, maybe make myself up a snack, and that lighting prevents me from stubbing my toe on the furniture. Okay, so when you begin to talk about using a light with a firearm, you have to basically set some parameters for that. I usually do not prescribe people leaving the confines of their bedroom and conducting room-to-room searches and clearing portions of your home, okay? I would suggest that you close that bedroom door if it's not already closed, lock it, call 911, hunker down, wait for the cavalry, okay? Now, I say that based off the fact that my wife and I live here alone, except for the dogs, of course, and so we do not have unaccounted for loved ones outside of the bedroom. Now, once you have established that you do have loved ones that are outside of the home, outside of the bedroom, excuse me, then you have a decision to make. And for me, that decision is easy. I am going to go retrieve them and try to safely get them back to my bedroom, without a doubt. So my whole focus changes. We have spare bedroom, we have this couch that pulls out to a bed, and maybe some of the kids are visiting, maybe other family members, maybe our grandson is here for a visit, okay? And he likes to sleep on this sofa bed, and this is where he's at. And all the way on the other side of the house is our bedroom. If I hear that proverbial bump in the middle of the night, then my focus is going to be to locate my grandson and bring him back to the bedroom, hopefully without incident. But because this is a very small house, that may be very difficult to do. So that's where you begin to incorporate using a light with a firearm. Now, I know the first thing that people who are detractors from using a light will say, well, as soon as you turn a light on, as soon as you turn it on, you've given away your position. They're going to know where you're at. And that is very true. But we have to understand the situation that we're in. If I have a loved one outside of my bedroom and I'm going to leave the confines of my bedroom and retrieve them, okay, then here I come. Okay, good training and building sound skill sets can mitigate or decrease some of the not detection, but presenting yourself as a target. Okay, but you know, that's going to vary on your abilities and your training, no doubt about it. But that's something that you need to consider, think about, decide for yourself. For me, there's no decision to make. If my grandson or my family member or loved one is out here, I'm going to go get them. Okay. Now, I have had the opportunity to take a few classes on this subject, and interestingly enough to me, anyway, those classes are 20 plus years apart. Okay, and so whereas the ideology and a lot of the methodology is very similar, techniques are similar, equipment is starkly different. Back in the 80s, the first class that I took, the good old mag light was king. That was the light that the police officers used, outdoorsmen, homeowners, anybody that wanted a really good quality light. It was a mag light or some similar light to that were the best options out there. You know, they were the king. And I know that I have shown this firearm. It's my Para-Ordnance Night Tac. It's a double stack 45 ACP. It has a rail on the frame that allows for a weapons mounted light. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's no magazine in it, and the gun has been checked and rechecked to confirm that it's empty. And there's a reason for that. I was kind of wanting to use it as a example. Some of those early techniques that I learned was rather straightforward. Good solid one-handed grip on your firearm and the use of the light with the offhand. Okay, whether you use it with the swing of the firearm or independently, maybe you have your firearm in a low ready position and you move around using your light. Another method that I learned was to hold the light basically like a club, bring it up and around your firearm, lock the wrists together to provide a little bit of support, and then you can still operate the light with one of your fingers. Okay. Still another way that I've learned was from a police officer who said that he was taught to lay the firearm up on their shoulder. Okay. That way that he can use the light up here as he needs to. And if he should have to use the light as a weapon, you can deploy it quickly and use it like a bludgeon. Okay. Now that was back in the 80s, right? A few years back I took another course, and as you can imagine, the options, you know, there's just a plethora of different lights out there, and I won't even begin to suggest what lights are better than other lights and models and such, because there's just way too many of them for me to even know about. But maybe I will go over some of the traits, some of the features that I like in different lights. For a standalone light, this is, in my opinion, a pretty good example. It's by Olight. It is called the T20 model. It uses two CR123 batteries. Okay, has very high output lumens, which I like, and also it has proved to be a pretty good rugged light. I've had this light a little over a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years now. I've used the light in for camping trips, hunting, power outages, things of that nature. And it's proven to be a dependable light. I have a couple of different models from Olight, and they've proven to be worth the money. They're not as expensive as Surefires, but they are more expensive than some of the other lesser quality brands. And this has a lot of features that I like for a light to use for a defensive tool. Some of those features are the tail cap, right? It has a tail cap activated switch, right? It has momentary on and off, and it also clicks on and clicks off, okay? Now this light, like many of the lights today, has a multitude of different modes, options that you can use. And some people like different modes. They may have a different mode that they would want to use for defense. I know that some people like a strobe feature, and this light does have a strobe feature, but it also is programmable, okay? And I think that that's very important, because whatever mode I decide that I want to use as the primary mode for the flashlight, I can program it with this light. And every time I turn it on, it's going to go to that primary mode that I have programmed. So if you like that strobe, every time you press the tail cap switch, it will be the strobe, okay? And I think that's a lot better than many of the other lights that you had to sit there and click and twist and do all kinds of things, okay? I think that really makes for a better option for the light. Now my battery's getting ready to run dead, so I'm going to have to change it out. All right, sorry about that, folks. Now we were talking about the standalone light and some of the features that I like or that I look for in a light before I consider it. Let me take it away. So I won't repeat all of that, but those are some of the reasons why I think a light like this is a very good tool. Now, in the recent class that I took, some of the techniques were absolutely very similar, using the light independently of the firearm, right? You're just using the tail cap switch now instead of holding it straight out in front of you like this. Using the where you lock the wrist together, you know, it's a pretty good platform for the firearm and for the light, and it doesn't take very much practice at all before you get to where you turn that light on and it's lined right up with your sights, okay? Another method that I've learned in the newer classes is that there's another method. I've heard it called a syringe method. I've heard it with a name associated with it, which is probably the individual that came up with the technique. But you basically hold it between your forefinger and your middle finger, and you press it up against the back of your hand to sort of like a syringe, right? And when you held the light in such a way, you can maybe line it up with your thumbs up together as an anchor point, so you can deploy the light. If your hands are large enough, you can bring them around, and your offhand can provide a little bit better grip and then deploy the light the same way, okay? A lot of different ways that you can do that. And you know, it's worth consideration. Now, some of the disadvantages of having a standalone light, of course, will be maybe trying to move something, trying to use your support hand to move something, maybe to engage a doorknob, things of that nature, because it is difficult to do that and provide light at the same time, okay? And it's more difficult to do. And that is one of the reasons why I like the weapons mounted light, okay? Now, the weapons mounted light has a few advantages, I believe, over a standalone light. One of which is that it is already attached to the gun, okay? It's there, it's with the gun. You grab the gun, the light comes with it, okay? And whereas you can keep this light where it's handy, you can also, when you're drowsy and you're trying to clear the cobwebs from your head, maybe reach and grab the light and knock it off the table, it rolls under the bed, you know. Murphy's Law, right? Murphy's Law. So there are situations that that can pop up from that. with the weapons mounted light. As I said, it's attached, it's ready to go. Okay. Another reason that I like the weapons mounted light is I can get that full, comfortable grip, the two-handed grip. Okay. Now I use a thumbs forward grip. Okay. And why that is interesting to know is because where my thumbs come down and my weak hand thumb usually will engage the frame, it's right there where I can manipulate the light. Okay, I do not have to adjust my hold in any kind of way. It's right there with the light, just as if it was made for it, right? So that's another reason why I like a weapons mounted light. As I discussed, using a standalone light, having to open doors, move things, do things with your support hand, my support hand is completely free to do that when I have a weapons mounted light. And I can open that door and still use my trigger finger now on the back end of the light to operate the light at the same time. Okay? So again, another advantage for the weapons mounted light. One of the disadvantages of a weapons mounted light is because it is attached to the rail, wherever that light is pointed, so is the muzzle of the gun. Okay? And usually people who are detractors from a weapons mounted light will bring that up immediately. Okay? Good point, absolutely good point. But if you have gone and gotten that good training, if you have taken a class to learn how to use a light with a firearm, then you would have been instructed that you don't go in there with your firearm up and ready to go and things of that nature if you have the potential of loved ones or other non-combatants, non-criminals, however you want, whatever term you want to use is there. So you kind of have your gun down a little bit. These lights have a very focused, bright beam, but there's also a lot of usable light around that beam of light, right? So if you go into a darkened room and you shine this light on the floor, that whole room's going to light right up, and you'll be able to quickly identify if anyone is in that room and if they're a friend or foe. Okay, so once again, that's where that good instruction comes in. I've been kind of picked on sometimes for always talking about people getting good instruction, but I don't think that there's very much more important than getting that good instruction. I think it's more important than the caliber. I think it's more important than the gun you choose. I think it's more important than the light that you choose. Because that knowledge base and the skill set that you can develop will serve you extremely well. Okay? You cannot get that from a YouTube video. You cannot get that from a magazine article. You cannot get that even from a DVD from reputable instructors. Nothing beats being taught a task, and while you're performing that task, having that coach right there with you, having that instructor right there with you to show you and to give you advice and to show you when you're doing right, to show you when you're doing wrong. That's a huge value, and that's something that cannot be replicated from a DVD or a YouTube video or a magazine article. Okay, so good solid instruction, very important. Now, as I said, I've only taken 2 classes. I have a very limited skill set. I have a very limited knowledge base. Okay, but I believe that it gives me a little bit of an advantage. Okay, I'm not where I need to be, but at least I'm on the way. All right, and at least because of what little bit of knowledge I do have, I understand that I have more knowledge to gain, and that is important. That's always an important to understand that. So, if you use one of these lights at any time, you're giving away your position, right? Of course you are. Absolutely. Many detractors of using the light will say that right off the bat. No way to get around that. Yes, you are. But remember why you're using that light. For me, it'll be to retrieve a loved one. And that's something that I'm going to do. Without a doubt, here I come. Okay? I hope that I have at least enough skill set and knowledge base to understand how to deploy my light and search without presenting myself as too much of a target. Okay. You know, police officers have developed techniques over time because when you turn that light on, you are announcing that you're there. You're giving away your position. But it is an absolute. Those police officers have to do that. They have to be able to identify friend or foe. Okay. Inside of my house, I'm going to have to identify who is my family, who is my loved one, and who is not. Okay. And for those people who are not, are they a threat? These are things you have to do if you're going to use a firearm for home defense. And I believe that one of the best tools that we have going is a good light. Okay. Now, a question that I got not too long ago. Well, I like a weapons mounted light too, so I don't need to learn how to use this, right? A standalone light. I would suggest that that's not the case, because you may not always have a weapons mounted light with you at the time that you need to deploy a light. And to give you a quick example of that, I go off to the store to get some chips. I come back home and I see that my door's been kicked in. My house is being involved in a home invasion. Okay. Now, if I'm alone, if I have all my loved ones with me, then we stay outside the house. We call 911 and we wait for the cavalry. But if I went to the store alone and I have loved ones inside this house, then I'm going to want to find out first what their condition is, and second, can I do anything to help them? Which means I'm going to enter this home. I'm going to enter my home. And my carry gun doesn't have a rail on it, so I don't have a weapons mounted light. Okay? And I've never really gotten into a habit of carrying a weapons mounted light in my pocket or on my belt or anything else. But I do have one of these in my vehicle. I do have a little light on my keychain that uses a AAA battery. So I will use what I have with me in order to try to secure my family, my loved ones, and make them safe. Okay. So yes, I am a proponent of using light in home defense. I believe that it adds value, it adds options to increase the survivability of myself and my family. Now the decision is for you to make. Okay. So I know this is a long video. I apologize for that. I've tried to make this video probably a dozen times and it keeps coming out long. But at any rate, I thank you for watching. I appreciate you very much. And remember to shoot straight on the range and in life. Thanks.